The Alien Turkey Autopsy, Guess Who's Coming to Thanksgiving Dinner by Janson Davies. Chapter 1. First Contact. Pamela adjusted the rearview mirror and glanced at the passenger seat. Myltron sat perfectly still, his crimson skin shimmering faintly in the late afternoon sun. He wore a navy cardigan over a button-down shirt, both borrowed from a thrift store and tailored with surgical precision. His eyes, large, opalescent, and slightly unsettling, blinked sideways. "You ready?" she asked. "I have studied the customs," Myltron replied. "I am prepared to engage in ritual consumption and familial bonding." Pamela sighed. "Just be normal." "As normal as you can be." The driveway was already full. SUVs, sedans, and one suspiciously parked van that belonged to Uncle Lester's latest side hustle, selling knockoff designer shoes. Heels on wheels. The house loomed ahead, festooned with inflatable turkeys and a banner that read, "Thankful AF." Myltron stepped out of the car and scanned the surroundings. This dwelling emits high levels of emotional residue, anticipation, anxiety, grease, sodium. "That's just Aunt Bev's cooking," Pamela muttered. The front door burst open. Aunt Bev, wearing a sequined apron that read, "Gobble till you wobble," charged forward with arms wide. "Pamela!" And, "Oh my stars, is this your boyfriend? He's tall and red. Is he Native American?" Myltron bowed. "I am Myltron of the Fifth Spiral. I come in peace and bearing a pie tribute." He held up a store-bought pumpkin pie, slightly dented from the ride. Aunt Bev blinked. "Well, aren't you a hoot?" Come in, come in. We've got dips." Inside, the house was a cacophony of voices, smells, and overlapping traditions. Uncle Rick was already halfway through a beer and trying to convince Grandma June that cryptocurrency was just like bingo, but with lasers. Cousin Marty was live-streaming the event for his followers, who mostly tuned in for his conspiracy theories about ducks being mutated swans. Pamela whispered, "Just follow my lead." Myltron nodded solemnly. "I shall observe and adapt accordingly." They entered the living room, where the family paused mid-chaos to stare. A moment of silence passed. Then Grandma June stood up, walked over and poked Myltron's arm. Firm, good bone density. "You eat a lot of meat." "I consume protein via osmosis and light absorption," Myltron replied. She nodded. "So, keto." Introductions began. Uncle Rick tried to sell Myltron a timeshare in Florida. Aunt Bev asked if he was one of those TikToks. Cousin Marty asked if he believed in the sentience of oak trees. Myltron answered each question with diplomatic grace and mild confusion. Then came the moment Pamela had dreaded. "Hey," shouted Cousin Marty, "who traveled the farthest to get here?" Aunt Bev clapped. "Oh, that's right. Whoever came the farthest gets to carve the turkey." All eyes turned to Myltron. "I traversed 17 light years and 1 interstate," he said. The room erupted in applause. Pamela groaned. Myltron tilted his head. "What does carve entail?" Uncle Rick handed him a carving knife. "Just slice it up, buddy." "You'll do great." Myltron took the knife reverently, as if accepting a sacred relic. Pamela buried her face in her hands. Thanksgiving had officially begun. Chapter 2. Meet the Turkey. The living room smelled like cinnamon, upholstery, and unresolved sibling rivalry. Myltron stood near the fireplace, examining a decorative cornucopia as if it might hatch. Pamela hovered nearby, trying to intercept questions before they became intergalactic incidents. Aunt Bev was first. "So, Myltron, what do you do for work? Are you in tech? You look like a techie." "I am a cultural liaison for the Galactic Accord," Myltron said. I specialize in interspecies etiquette and ceremonial translation. Aunt Bev blinked. So, HR? Uncle Rick, who had been lurking near the cheese ball, chimed in. You ever think about investing in Florida real estate? I've got a duplex near the Everglades, great for alien tourism, especially any that like alligators. I do not require shelter, Myltron replied. I metabolize moonlight. Solar panels, Rick nodded. Smart. Grandma June shuffled over, gripping her walker like a weapon. You married? No, Myltron said. I am bonded to Pamela through mutual resonance and shared playlists. She squinted. Is that legal? Technically, Pamela said. We're just dating. Grandma June grunted and handed Myltron a Werther's original. You seem nice. Don't abduct anyone. I shall refrain, Myltron promised. Cousin Marty, live streaming from the recliner, turned the camera toward Myltron. Yo, followers, meet Myltron. He's from outer space. Drop a comment if you think he's here to harvest our gravy. Myltron leaned in. What is gravy? Marty grinned. It's like edible paste. You pour it over meat, or on your holiday tie. But the way Bev makes it, the gravy boat should come with life vests. Myltron nodded solemnly. I understand. The introductions continued. Aunt Carol asked if Myltron could read her aura. Uncle Pete tried to arm wrestle him. The twins, Max and Ruby, asked if he could teleport them to Disneyland. I am not authorized for recreational relocation, Myltron said. The twins looked disappointed. Then came the moment of reckoning. The turkey reveal. Aunt Bev emerged from the kitchen carrying a golden brown bird the size of a small meteor. It steamed with authority. The room fell silent. Time to carve, she announced. Myltron stepped forward, still holding the ceremonial knife. He examined the turkey with reverence as it glistened under the dining room lights, like a golden sacrifice. I shall honor this noble creature with a humane autopsy, he whispered. He raised the knife. Pamela whispered, just slice. Don't dissect. Myltron nodded. Then, with surgical precision, he made an incision along the breastplate, narrating as he went. Initial entry point, tissue separation. Internal cavity reveals bread-based organ substitute. Aunt Bev clapped. He's a natural. Uncle Rick leaned over to Pamela and whispered, he ever do one of those alien autopsy videos? Only on Celestial Apprentice, she muttered. The turkey was carved with eerie elegance. Myltron telekinetically transported each slice to their plates, like a ritual cosmic offering. The family applauded. Grandma June cried again. Dinner was served, and the real confusion was just beginning. Chapter 3. The Reheat Incident. The dining room was a battlefield of half-eaten sides and abandoned utensils. Plates clinked, wine flowed, and the air buzzed with post-turkey fatigue. Myltron sat upright, hands folded, observing the aftermath like a diplomat at a peace summit. Aunt Bev returned from the kitchen with a casserole dish that had clearly lost its thermal integrity. Sweet potato soufflé, she announced, cold as my ex-husband's heart. She plopped it onto the table. A gelatinous wobble rippled through the orange mass. Microwaves busted, she added. Anyone want it lukewarm? Myltron leaned forward. May I assist? Aunt Bev raised an eyebrow. You know how to fix a microwave? I do not require one. He extended his hand over the dish. His palm glowed faintly, an iridescent shimmer like moonlight through fog. The room fell silent. The soufflé began to steam. Grandma June gasped. He's a witch. Uncle Rick dropped his fork. That's induction heating. Or alien sorcery. Either way, I'm impressed. Myltron retracted his hand. Thermal restoration complete. Aunt Bev poked the dish with a spoon. Hotter than fresh gossip. You're hired, Pamela groaned. He's not a kitchen appliance, Aunt Bev. Myltron smiled. I am merely trying to be helpful. The family buzzed with excitement. Cousin Marty filmed the whole thing, narrating for his followers. Yo, Myltron just reheated a casserole with his hand. This is the future. Hashtag gravy wizard. The twins demanded he reheat their mashed potatoes. Uncle Pete asked if he could warm his beer. Grandma June requested a full-body scan. Myltron obliged with polite restraint, warming only food and declining all medical inquiries. As the meal resumed, the family's curiosity deepened. So, Aunt Carol asked, what other tricks you got? I can translate whale song, Myltron said, and I once negotiated peace between two sentient fungi. Can you fix my knee? Grandma June asked. I am not licensed for orthopedic intervention. Can you fix my marriage? Aunt Bev asked. I am not licensed for that either. The room laughed. Myltron tilted his head, absorbing the humor like sunlight. Pamela leaned in. You're doing great. I am adapting, Myltron replied. This ritual is rich in starch and sentiment. She smiled. Welcome to the definition of Thanksgiving. Chapter 4. Stuffing Protocols. The turkey had been carved with surgical grace. Plates were piled high. The family was now deep into the second phase of Thanksgiving, the starch death spiral. Myltron sat between Uncle Rick and Cousin Marty, staring at a scoop of stuffing on his plate. It resembled compressed sediment, flecked with herbs and mystery. This, he said, is the bread-based organ substitute. Stuffing, Pamela confirmed. It's bread, onions, celery, spices, sometimes sausage. It goes inside the turkey. Myltron blinked. You simulate internal anatomy with seasoned carbohydrates. Basically, said Aunt Bev, it's like an edible organ transplant. Myltron picked up his fork and prodded the stuffing. It held its shape. He leaned closer. It is dense, possibly sentient. Cousin Marty leaned in. Some say stuffing is the soul of the meal. Others say it's just filler. I say it's a metaphor. Myltron nodded. I shall attempt ingestion. He took a bite. His eyes widened. A faint hum emanated from his chest. Are you okay? Pamela whispered. I am. Recalibrating. Uncle Rick slapped his back. That's the sage kicking in. You'll be fine. Myltron swallowed and sat very still. Then he reached out and touched the bowl of stuffing. His fingers glowed faintly. The stuffing began to levitate. Aunt Bev dropped her fork. Is that normal? Myltron tilted his head. It is responding to my neural resonance. I believe it seeks approval. The stuffing hovered, rotated, and gently settled back into the bowl. Grandma June crossed herself. He's a culinary wizard, Cousin Marty whispered. Stuffing just made him its cult leader. Pamela groaned. Can we please not start a religion? Myltron looked around. I did not intend to perform any rites. Uncle Rick raised his glass. To Myltron, may your stuffing always rise to the occasion. The family cheered. Myltron smiled, slightly overwhelmed. As the meal continued, Myltron was offered every side dish imaginable. He warmed the green bean casserole with a glance. He restructured the cranberry sauce into a perfect sphere. He whispered to the gravy boat, and it poured itself. By the time dessert was mentioned, half the family believed he was a Thanksgiving miracle. Pamela leaned over. You're not helping your case. I am merely adapting, Myltron said. This culture is rich in ritual and root vegetables I do not understand. Chapter 5. Cranberry Catastrophe. The cranberry sauce arrived in a vintage glass dish shaped like a leaf. It jiggled ominously, a deep ruby cylinder with the ridges of its former cans still visible like ancient runes. Myltron stared at it. "It pulses," he said. "It's just cranberry sauce," Pamela whispered. "It's a side dish. It is communicating." Aunt Bev leaned in. "You don't like cranberries?" "It's tradition. We slice it into coins." Myltron tilted his head. "It is not dead." Cousin Marty gasped. "I knew it. Sentient sauce. I've been saying this for years." Myltron extended a finger. The sauce quivered. A faint hum filled the room. Grandma June clutched her pearls. "It's vibrating." Uncle Rick squinted. "Is it trying to escape?" Myltron closed his eyes. "It speaks in frequencies. Longing, regret, tartness." Aunt Bev nodded solemnly. "That tracks." Cousin Marty began filming. "Followers, we're witnessing first contact. Myltron is communing with the sauce. Hashtag Cranberry Awakening." The cranberry sauce levitated slightly, then settled back into the dish with a wet sigh. Myltron opened his eyes. "It has accepted its fate with grace." Aunt Carol clapped. "That was beautiful." Grandma June whispered, "I think I saw God." Pamela groaned, "It's just gelatin and sugar." Myltron turned to her. "All things contain mystery." The family began slicing the sauce reverently. Each coin was passed like communion. Cousin Marty declared himself the high priest of the crimson fruit. Aunt Bev started sketching a logo for the Order of the Can. Myltron took a bite. His eyes glowed faintly. "It is transcendent." Uncle Rick raised his glass. "To Myltron, may your sauce always shimmer." The family cheered. Pamela buried her face in her hands. As dessert approached, the Cranberry cult began drafting bylaws. Grandma June offered her basement for meetings. Marty suggested a podcast. Aunt Bev proposed robes. Myltron remained calm, serene, and slightly sticky. Pamela leaned over. "You're causing a religious movement." "I am merely adapting," Myltron said. "This culture is rich in gelatinous reverence." Chapter 6. Grace and Gravy. The dining room had settled into a lull. Plates were loaded, forks poised, and the air held that sacred tension between hunger and ceremony. Aunt Bev tapped her wineglass with a spoon. "Before we dig in," she said, "we need someone to say grace." Heads turned. Grandma June cleared her throat. "Pamela, maybe your friend would like to." Pamela froze. "He's not really religious." Myltron stood slowly. "I am fluent in over 900 ceremonial dialects. I shall attempt a blessing." Uncle Rick whispered, "This ought to be good." Myltron placed his hands over the table. His voice deepened, resonant and melodic. "Feathered sentinel of the sky, you who soared on thermals and dreams, now rest upon this altar of kinship. Your sacrifice binds us in starch, in salt, in seasonal gratitude." The room fell silent. "May your essence nourish our bodies. May your memory linger in our cholesterol, and may your bones rattle with pride in the great beyond." He bowed his head. "Amen," whispered Aunt Carol. Grandma June dabbed her eyes. "That was the most beautiful thing I've ever heard." Uncle Rick raised his glass. "To the bird that can't fly." "To the bird," echoed the family. Pamela leaned over. "You just eulogized the turkey." "It deserved honor," Myltron replied. "Its journey was noble." Cousin Marty posted the entire speech online with the caption, "Alien Grace, the Poultry Benediction." It began trending within minutes. As the family began to eat, the mood had shifted. The turkey was no longer just meat. It was a martyr. The stuffing, a relic. The gravy, a sacred river. Aunt Bev whispered. I feel like I should apologize to the yams. Myltron smiled. All things deserve reverence. Uncle Pete asked if Myltron could officiate his vow renewal. Grandma June requested a spoken-word tribute to her meatloaf. Cousin Marty suggested a TED Talk. Pamela sighed. You've turned dinner into a spiritual awakening. I am merely adapting, Myltron said. This culture is rich in sacrifice and roast. She smiled. Just wait until football starts. Myltron looked intrigued. Is it a sport or a ceremony? Both, she said, and it's about to get loud. Chapter 7. The Football Ritual. The meal had ended in a haze of starch and spiritual awakening. The Cranberry cult was drafting bylaws in the kitchen. Aunt Bev was sketching robe designs on a napkin. Grandma June was asleep in her chair, clutching a dinner roll like a relic. In the living room, the men gathered around the television. The annual Thanksgiving football game was about to begin. All right, Uncle Rick said, cracking open a fresh beer. Time for the real tradition. Bev, don't bother cleaning up. Just put some crime scene tape around the table to preserve the evidence. The men then went into the living room. Myltron followed, curious. He sat on the edge of the couch, hands folded, eyes glowing faintly. What is the nature of this ritual? He asked. It's football, said Cousin Marty. 2 teams. 1 ball. Lots of yelling. Myltron nodded. Tribal conflict simulation, I understand. The screen flickered to life. A stadium roared. Players in armor sprinted across the field. The national anthem played. Myltron stood and saluted with 3 fingers. Uncle Rick raised an eyebrow. You military? I once served as a peace envoy during the Molten Moon riots, Myltron said. I negotiated with sentient lava. Sounds like coaching, Rick muttered. The game began. Myltron leaned forward, analyzing every movement. They form strategic clusters, he said, then disperse violently. The ball is sacred. That's the quarterback, Marty explained. He's like the high priest of passing. Myltron nodded. The ceremony is complex. A commercial interrupted the game. A man in a turkey costume danced across the screen, advertising car insurance. Myltron gasped. Is this a vision quest? No, Rick said. It's capitalism. Myltron tilted his head. So, a form of worship. Basically. The game resumed. A player was tackled. The crowd cheered. Myltron flinched. Is injury part of the rite? Only if it's dramatic, Marty said. We respect pain. Myltron watched intently. He began to hum softly, syncing with the rhythm of the game. His eyes glowed brighter. The remote levitated slightly. Rick stared. Did you just... I am calibrating, Myltron said. The energy is potent. Another commercial aired, this time for stuffing mix. Myltron whispered, The bread returns. The room fell silent. Rick raised his glass. To Myltron, may your touchdowns be transcendent. The family cheered. Myltron smiled, absorbing the chaos. Pamela entered, holding pie. How's he doing? He thinks football is a sacred war dance, Marty said. Myltron nodded. It is beautiful, violent, deeply confusing. She handed him a slice of pie. Welcome to America. Chapter 8. Halftime Revelations. The game had reached halftime. The living room was a mess of chip crumbs, beer cans, and philosophical debates about pass interference. Myltron sat cross-legged on the carpet, absorbing every detail. They pause mid-conflict, he said, to honor musical interludes and snack-based diplomacy. That's halftime, Uncle Rick explained. It's sacred. The halftime show began. A pop star in sequins descended from the rafters. Fireworks erupted. Dancers spun like caffeinated electrons. Myltron's eyes widened. Is this a mating ritual? No, Cousin Marty said. It's branding. Myltron nodded. Ah, commerce ballet. Then, without warning, Myltron stood and raised his hand. A small device emerged from his sleeve, sleek, metallic, humming softly. What's that? Pamela asked, alarmed. I wish to participate, Myltron said. I shall project myself onto the field. Before anyone could object, a shimmering hologram of Myltron appeared in the center of the living room. It was 10 feet tall, glowing faintly, and dressed in a football uniform made entirely of light. Behold, Myltron said, my avatar. The family gasped. Grandma June woke up and screamed. Uncle Rick dropped his beer. The twins clapped. Then the dog attacked. Baxter, a small but determined terrier, launched himself at the hologram, barking furiously. He passed through the projection, hit the wall, and bounced off with a yelp. Myltron blinked. Is this a test? No, Pamela said, grabbing the dog. He thinks you're a threat. I am merely luminous. The hologram flickered. The football uniform morphed into a turkey costume. Myltron frowned. I did not authorize this. Cousin Marty laughed. The projector's glitching. You're a turkey now. The hologram began dancing. The family erupted in laughter. Aunt Bev filmed it for her TikTok. Uncle Rick declared it the best halftime show since Janet Jackson's wardrobe malfunction. Myltron deactivated the projector. I have learned much. You've traumatized the dog, Pamela said. He is resilient. Baxter growled from under the couch. As the second half began, Myltron settled back into his seat, humbled but curious. This sport, he said, is a kaleidoscope of violence, ritual, and unexpected poultry. Uncle Rick nodded. That's America. Myltron smiled. I am adapting. Chapter 9. The Pie Whisperer. The football game had ended in a blur of shouting, commercials, and Myltron's brief stint as a holographic turkey. The living room was quiet now, save for the occasional snore and the soft hum of digestion. Aunt Bev emerged from the kitchen with a tray of desserts: pumpkin pie, pecan pie, apple crumble, and something gelatinous that defied classification. Dessert time, she announced. Choose your weapon. Myltron stood and approached the tray cautiously. He pointed to the pumpkin pie. This one, he said. It radiates authority. That's pumpkin, Aunt Bev said. Classic, spiced, American. Myltron leaned closer. It resembles a tactical ration. Dense, triangular, possibly aerodynamic. It's pie, Pamela said. You eat it. Myltron picked up a slice and examined it. It could be thrown, used to distract, or disable. Aunt Bev grinned. You've got instincts. I once hit my ex-husband with a frozen one, took him down like a deer. Myltron nodded solemnly. It is a versatile artifact. He took a bite. His eyes widened. A faint shimmer passed over his skin. This is diplomacy. Uncle Rick raised his glass. To pie, our sweetest weapon. The family cheered. Myltron smiled, crumbs on his lips. Cousin Marty filmed the moment. Yo, Myltron just declared pie a diplomatic tool. This is history. Grandma June stirred. Is there whipped cream? Myltron extended a finger. A small swirl of cream materialized above her slice. She gasped. He's a dessert wizard. Aunt Bev handed him a second slice. Try pecan. It's crunchy chaos. Myltron took a bite. It is aggressive, but honorable. The family began debating pie rankings. Myltron listened, absorbing the cultural nuances of crust loyalty and filling politics. Pamela leaned over. You're doing great. I am adapting, Myltron said. This culture is rich in pastry and paradox. She smiled. Just wait until leftovers. Myltron looked intrigued. Is it a second feast or a preservation rite? Both, she said, and it's about to get weird. Chapter 10. The Exit Interview. The evening had mellowed into a warm, gravy-scented haze. The Cranberry cult had disbanded temporarily to draft a charter. Grandma June was asleep again, this time with a slice of pie balanced on her chest. The twins were playing a game called Stuffing Wars with leftover rolls. Uncle Rick leaned back in his recliner and raised his glass. All right, Myltron. You've seen the whole circus. What do you think of Thanksgiving? The room quieted. Even Baxter the dog stopped growling. Myltron stood slowly, hands clasped behind his back. His voice was calm, resonant, and just a little eerie. It is a ritual of paradox, he began, a gathering of chaos and kindness, a feast of starch and sentiment. Aunt Bev nodded. That's accurate, Myltron continued. You honor the fallen bird. You argue over sports. You consume gelatinous relics and weaponized desserts. You laugh. You cry. You nap. Grandma June snorted in her sleep. You speak of gratitude, Myltron said, but also of politics, weather, and casserole strategy. You are loud. You are strange. You are deeply sincere. The family stared, unsure whether to clap or cry. I have witnessed communion through carbohydrates, Myltron said. I have seen diplomacy forged in pie. I have felt the pulse of your football rights and the sorrow of your cranberry lament. Cousin Marty whispered, This guy's a poet. Myltron bowed slightly. Thanksgiving is a sacred chaos. I'm honored to have partaken. Aunt Carol dabbed her eyes. That was beautiful. Uncle Rick raised his glass again. To Myltron, may your starch always be sincere. The family echoed the toast. Pamela smiled, exhausted but proud. You nailed it, she whispered. I am adapting, Myltron replied. This culture is rich in contradiction and casserole. The room buzzed with quiet reflection. For a moment, everyone was still. Then Aunt Bev stood up and clapped her hands. All right, who wants leftovers? The spell broke. The chaos resumed, but something had shifted. Myltron had spoken, and the family, quirky, chaotic, and deeply American, had listened. Chapter 11. Guess who's coming next year? The night had thinned into quiet laughter and pie-induced naps. The Cranberry cult had officially dissolved after a heated debate over robe colors. Grandma June was snoring in rhythm with Baxter. Pamela and Myltron stood by the door, coats in hand, leftovers packed in foil and hope. You did great, Pamela said. No vaporized relatives. No diplomatic incidents, just a little gravy levitation. I am grateful, Myltron replied. Your family is resilient and deeply starch-oriented. Aunt Bev hugged him. You're welcome any time, Milty. Next year, bring a friend. Myltron nodded. I shall invite my cousin. He is a sentient gas cloud. Uncle Rick raised an eyebrow. We have a great uncle like that. Does your cousin eat? He absorbs vaporized nutrients and interprets flavor as emotion. Rick shrugged. We've got steamers. Cousin Marty was already planning a live stream. Thanksgiving 2. Cloud Cousin Chronicles. Grandma June stirred and muttered, Bring pie. As they stepped outside, the stars blinked overhead. Myltron looked up, then back at the house. This ritual, he said, is chaotic, illogical, beautiful. Pamela smiled. That's family. They walked to the car, leftovers in hand, hearts full of something strange and warm. Behind them, the house glowed with laughter, gravy, and the lingering scent of cosmic stuffing. Thanksgiving would never be the same. And next year, the gas cloud was coming. Epilogue: The Archive of Earthly Feasts. In the quiet of deep space aboard a vessel shaped like a spiral seashell, Myltron sat in his quarters, recording his final log. A stack of wrapped leftovers rested by the console. Entry 742, Earth, Sector 3, Sub-Region Ohio. Mission: cultural immersion via ritual known as Thanksgiving. Outcome: successful. No casualties, minor gravy-related anomalies. He paused, gazing at the holographic projection of the family photo. Everyone was smiling. Aunt Bev was mid-wink. Grandma June had her fork raised like a scepter. Baxter was blurry, mid-pounce. Myltron smiled. I have witnessed the power of starch to unify, the sacred chaos of kinship, the reverence for gelatinous fruit, and the strange, beautiful violence of football. He tapped a button. A small vial of Martian spice glowed beside a foil-wrapped slice of pumpkin pie, now preserved in stasis. I leave behind no monuments, only memories, and one slightly melted container called Tupperware. Outside his ship, stars blinked like distant relatives. Somewhere his cousin, the sentient gas cloud, was preparing for next year's visit. Myltron closed the log. Earth is strange. Earth is loud. Earth is home enough. He leaned back, letting the warmth of the pie's scent fill the cabin. And in the archive of earthly feasts, one more entry shimmered into existence. Thanksgiving, a ritual of mercy, madness, and mashed potatoes. The end. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you.